Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Marvel comic review. And in this Marvel comic review, I'll be covering Miracleman issue 0, which covers the 40 years of the character of Miracleman, and also the Miracleman Legacy, or issue 1, which connects to the Legacy series, or the legacy of the series. So I'll now get things organized for the first one that I'll be covering, and I will be covering the story as well as the art for each one and also their racing. So moving into first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it an 8 out of 10. Now this does have an array of some stories in it, but I will give my overall rating of the art of the stories that are in it, but I will be rating it as one story overall. I will move on to the second one, and then I'll cover the time, location, and also cast when it gets to that. So let's now move into having a look at the internal art for the first one. As we move into some of the art around the first story, we got the main character of Miracleman here. Of course, we get to meet some of the other characters. We also meet the first young Miracleman, and also what happens there with one of the characters, which we will get the cast of characters later on, as soon as I finish taking care of issue 1 and this issue and issue 1. Of course, we do get some art by Peach Momoko, some additional content, of course. We catch up with the main character of Miracleman, who also meets with his creator of the story. And last but not least, towards the end. Alright, now I'll move into the next issue. And this is done by Neil Gaiman. So first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it an 8 out of 10. I will get around to rating the art and the story for both after I've finished this, because I need to include the time and location and cast. So as the story begins, we get to catch up with some members that make up the Miracleman family, or basically their associates. And on top of that, we also get to learn the secret origin of this young Miracleman. Jumping a little bit further into the story, and as we start to reach the middle, we get to see Miracleman working with young Miracleman, and a discussion happening between them, and also learning that, okay, something happened to one of the previous. And last but not least, moving towards the end. So for the internal art for the first story, or the first issue, or issue 0, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. There was some art that really worked, or felt really worked with the story, and there was some art that didn't quite fit with the story, but I understand what they were doing with the story. And I'd have to say that sort of falls onto the Peach Momoko stuff. Even though she can do some really good art outside of, say, this Miracleman, along with her stories, and it works with her stories, with this, it sort of felt like it half worked. And that's the only criticism to this. But overall, moving into the stories, now both stories did happen to put in some dates, or some time cast and we had time cast and locations. So I managed to try to get as much information that I could from both issues. So first things first, the first area being that of time. We got 2003 AD and also 19 years ago. So we got to address, say, one of the time periods, and also we got to have a little bit of a flashback of sorts. Moving into the next area, the location, we had the Library of Olympus, to which we actually got to meet a number of characters. And I think it was called Ishikari Station. And that was quite interesting too, as to what was happening there. I might be saying it wrong, but I know what I'm trying to indicate too. The cast of characters being, of course, Miracleman. We had Jack Sargun. We had the character called Wednesday Morning, who's actually one of the Miraclemen. We also had Jendai. We had Klingsaw, Mist, Duncan, of course, Young Miracleman, Winter, British Bulldog, Huey Muon, Kane Blur, Fan Muda, and I think it's Mars. I might have that wrong. No, Moors. Spelled Mors. For the overall story rating for the first one, being issue 0, I gave an 8 out of 10. For the second story, being Miracleman issue 1 of the Legacy, also an 8. For the art of the second, I gave an 8 out of 10. The cover got an 8 out of 10, and the story also got an 8 out of 10. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.